be with you because I am so in love with you and I care about you so much that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And it's almost, and I remember saying, it's almost insulting that you can't see it. And that really got me thinking. But here's what I want you to do. I want you, take a moment. I'll give you some more time at the end. See if you can answer that for yourself. Because, see, here's the thing. God is also looking down and saying, I have created you. Excuse me. I have made you. And I think a lot of times we look and say, yeah, but I'm not as talented as such and such. Yeah, but I'm not as gifted as that person. Yeah, but I am terrified to step up in a group of people and speak. Yeah, but I don't really have anything that stands out. I can't play the guitar. I can't, I'm not really a good writer. I don't know. I guess I'm pretty average at school. And we put ourselves up to all these other standards, and God is saying, look, I have made you. I have made you the way that I wanted you. And I'm not talking about the ways that sometimes we get tempted by things and we fall and we create addictions and patterns in our lives. He's saying, I understand that, and I have sent my son to help you through that. But he's saying, I have made you for a plan and a purpose. I have made you who you are. You are who you are is kind of what I ended up kind of titling this, because, no matter what the world tries to say, you are who you are, right? No matter what people try and pin you in, you are who you are because God's made you that. No matter where you find yourself in life, I keep saying this till it sinks in, you are who you are, right? You are who you are, and that's who God created you to be. And many of you know this, and I think I'm just going to paraphrase it, but another verse I often come back to, and I think many of you know it by now, Jeremiah 29:11, which says, basically, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and to give you a future. And see, those aren't just words of saying, oh, wow, God knows what I'm going to do tomorrow. Those are words saying that you didn't take a first breath before God knew what his plans for you were. You didn't come on this earth. You didn't even come to any sort of existence in anybody's womb before God had a plan for you. And here's the thing. Some of you may sit there and you may go, yeah, well, mine still kind of sucks. Mine just doesn't seem like it's panning out the way it's supposed to be. And you can name off, a bunch of other situations that could be brighter and better. And to a certain degree, I don't know how all that works. I mean, the last I checked, I'm not God. And I don't look like God. I'm not mistaken for God normally.
Yeah, you look like God. You don't have your
I don't have three parts of me that are one. Doesn't really work.
Maybe you do.
I can't rise from the dead.
No, you can't.
Can't live in people's
Have you
hearts.
tried?
Have I tried?
I live in people's hearts. Does that make me know?
You live in people's hearts?
He said houses.
You dwell?
Prove it.
Anyways, and some of those things I can't understand, but I know that God has a plan and a purpose. I know that God has created us in the way he wanted us, and maybe we're in this weird situation in life, and maybe that's only so that we can reach out and touch someone else where they're at. We kind of talk with that over the last couple months. But, the thing of it is that you are who you are, and you are who God created you to be. You are the way that you're supposed to be, and maybe you feel like you're too quiet. Maybe you feel like you should be quieter. Maybe you feel like you're awkward sometimes around people. Maybe you look at everybody else, you're like, man, they can have friends and they can just be around people, they just love it, and I just don't. I don't know where you find yourself. I can think of 100 things about myself sometimes that I sit there and I go, why? Why am I this way? And God's sitting there going, this is the way I've made you. Some of this was actually inspired by, anybody know who Oswald Chambers is?
Mm-hmm.
He wrote this kind of devotional of these little kind of many things. I don't know if that's actually how it started or that's just how it became. But it's kind of something I do, usually mornings, I at least try and pick that up, and then later in the day, if I didn't get a chance, I'll have more of a quiet time. But I read one a couple days ago that was somewhat about this subject, and it basically said, you pointing at your inability is basically telling God that it doesn't matter. Like, we a lot of times look at our inability to do something and say, oh, well, then I guess I'm just not good enough. And in that, he was kind of talking about humility and how sometimes even, and I'm guilty of this, sometimes I feel like we kind of go, yeah, but I'm not that good. And it's, on one hand, it's like this whole idea of we don't want to seem like, oh yeah, I'm good at that.
Modest.
Right, modest, humble, these type of words, but sometimes it's just the fact that we want to seem humble, which is not being humble. It's just like it's this whole weird thing, but we really need to look to God and say, God has made me who he's made me to be. God has made me the person he's made me to be. And I'm gonna live in that, I'm gonna dwell in that, and I'm gonna give him the credit where the credit is due, but I'm not gonna say that, oh, I'm not that good, don't worry. Say, if someone says, oh, you're really good, say, thank you, and I owe it to God. I don't know. I don't know how that sounds to you. I don't want you to say some line and not mean it, but
confident but not conceited.
yeah, confident but not conceited. It's just like, be who you are. Find who you are if you haven't found that yet, because it's not about who can play the guitar the best or who has the best hair or it's obviously me, but that doesn't matter.
I'm obviously both of those.
It's obviously going away quickly, but
Ruth! She called it, not me.
But or who has the most friends, or who likes the best music, or I don't know. We could go on and on for days about this, huh?
Who drives the best twinsy car?
Drives the best twinsy car, huh?
Right.
I do.
Who has the best fiance?
I do.
Stephanie does. Shut up, Zach.
I haven't. Who has the best wife? Oh, only one in the room.
Dumb.
That wasn't even funny, it was just lame.
Oh, yeah, but
Anyways, okay, we're gonna move on.
That's too many.
There's
small, aren't you?
there's many other things we can kind of go through that, but I really hope that you guys can kind of grasp this, because it's not something I can sit up here and just somehow get it in your brain, get it in your heart, and it's in there. Because I could say this, and I could preach this message and say these words this Wednesday, next Wednesday, the Wednesday after, for a whole year, and it might never sink in. And all you'd be doing is going, yeah, Garrett, I know. But the question is, not do you know, but do you believe it? Not is it words that you've heard and you could repeat back to me and you could say and you could tell people and you could even encourage others to, but is it words that are in your own heart? And I think that's a question I even have to ask myself sometimes is, are these words that I truly believe in my heart? Yes, I believe God rose from the dead. Yes, I believe that he died for my sins. Yes, I believe that he's asked me to follow him and to be baptized and to be a part of his family and part of his body and be the youth pastor here at New Day and do all these things. But do I truly believe that he has created me uniquely and wonderfully? And can I say that? And sometimes, to be honest, I don't know. Because I feel like I struggle with insecurities and I struggle with all these things too. I'm not some perfect guy that decided to become a youth pastor. It's funny.
What?
What?
Really?
Oh
my gosh.
my goodness.
I can't believe it.
And so I want you to think, are you comfortable? Not are you comfortable, I don't want to say it that way. You should be comfortable. No. Don't be comfortable. Can you say that you are, we'll say it this way, can you, hold on, I'll get it out.
Can you?
I'm trying to say too much of it in my head too quickly. Can you say that you are fearfully and wonderfully made? Can you say that you have been created by God for His purpose? And that you kind of maybe even know what that is. Maybe that's a tough one. Can you say that you are a unique, gifted, talented, and loved individual? I don't know. I don't know if you can. As I said, I struggle with it. I feel it's rhetorical.
No, I have a question about your saying.
Okay.
Like, are you asking if we can do it and like believe what we say to ourselves? Or
Right. I mean, all of us can say the words.
Oh, but do you actually
Believe
is
it.
it true?
Right. Like, is that something that you can truthfully say about yourself? Yeah. No, I appreciate you clarifying that. I want to share one more verse with you guys, and then do we have time for group stuff or?
Yeah. I mean, it's 10 minutes of it. Yeah, we're good. Solid.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay, I'm gonna share one more
Solid.
verse, and then we'll go into it. I
Good.
got really talky and preachy and whatever. I apologize.
Good job.
Ephesians 3, verses 16 through 19. I'll just kind of share this. You guys can listen and maybe write it down and read it later. Actually, I'm going to start in 14. For this reason I bow my knees before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and earth is named. This is the part I wanted to get to. That according to the riches of His glory, He may grant you to be strengthened with power through His Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, that you, being rooted and grounded in love, may have strength to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and length and height and depth, and to know the love of Christ that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled with all the fullness of God. Now to Him who is able to do far more abundantly than all that we ask or think, according to the power at work within us. And this is 21, sorry, I went further. To Him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus through all generations forever and ever. Amen. I want to come back to 18 where he says, may you have strength to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and length and height and depth, and to know the love of Christ. He's saying how wide, how deep, how far, how great is the Father's love
Isn't that a song?
for us. Yeah, there's some songs.
There's
about
a
it,
bunch of them.
Deep and wide, deep and wide.
That is one
There's
too.
a
It sounds just like that,
fountain
only
deep
way
and
better.
wide.
Yep.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Listen to Garrett now.
And do you I mean, he's kind of saying, I pray that you have the strength to understand something impossible to understand, right? But it's kind of this pursuing this journey of trying to understand how much God is in love with you. Not some weird, dating, creepo stalker way. But the fact that He created you, He made you. If you draw a beautiful piece of art and you want to share it with people, you made it, you created it, you put it on that page. If you write a song and it's just, you put heart and soul in it, and it's just amazing, you love that song, right? You just say, oh man, this is something I really worked hard on, you're proud of it. If you do certain things, you kind of create something, whether it's art, whether it's something else, when you kind of put that kind of work into it, you look back and you go, yeah. And see, though sometimes God may be going up there and going, man, what are you doing now? That's not the right direction. You need to go this way. He's still going, I created you, and I love you, and I care about you. And I think that's something I want you guys to try and get. And here's kind of what I want to do, kind of an exercise of this. I want you guys to kind of get into groups and just guys, girls with girls, and so it'll be a small guys group. We have a few minutes. I want you to think of, we'll say 2 to 3 things that you like about who you are. Okay? And if you have trouble, it is then the job of the group to come up with 2 or 3 things that they like about you.
Yeah.
Right? And I challenge you, try and think of those things. If you can, I want you to receive what those people in that group tell you. And then I want you to take a time, I think leaders will probably just have you guys kind of close in prayer and pray for the group. And then we'll come back together and I'll say one more thing and then we'll do 2 more songs and then we'll be done. So if you kind of get in a group, I think maybe split the girls up into 2 groups just to